Bitcoin is this kind of unique network that is pretty perfect in its own right for what it does. And all of these networks are basically communities. These protocols are communities. And the community's job is to defend the value of the network. And so what they see is everything as a threat. When everybody keeps looking at them saying, but we're not talking about money. We're not thinking necessarily that ETH is money. It's a platform to facilitate this incredible movement. But they're like, yeah, but it's not the same as Bitcoin. We're like, no, it's not. But so they're just defending their idealism. And that makes the network more robust. So it's a feature and a bug. But it's difficult because what they're actually doing is making a less attractive community for all of us to hang out. It's one of the reasons I kind of moved away from the Bitcoin community, because if I don't like the community, I'm going to take my money and go elsewhere. And that's kind of what I'm talking about with all these metaverses as well. We get the choice. And so we just don't have to pay. I've got 100% of my liquid net worth in crypto. And about 70% of it's in Ethereum, probably more now, probably about 80-something% is in Ethereum. It's the biggest bet I've ever taken. I'm not an Ethereum maximalist. I just think it's the best risk-adjusted reward. I'm an investor. Yes, I love the space. I'm passionate about the space overall and the ethos and the culture and everything that's happening. But what I'm trying to do is maximize my returns. And yes, could I make more money in Solana? Possibly, but it's riskier. Ethereum is so clear with the restricted supply. There's a supply crunch. Everybody's staking their ETH. Everything's being locked up on smart contracts. So to me, and I'm seeing institutions coming into Ethereum because they feel more comfortable there than they do with Bitcoin because of the issues we talked about, the culture within the community. So I'm like, this is the best bet to me. So so I'm not an ETH maximalist in any way. In fact, I own tons of altcoins, stuff like Solana, Avalanche, Terra, and I think everybody's doing great work, and the world should be about all of us doing great work and working together, because the whole space is going to go up 100x. And if Bitcoin ends up being not 45% of it, but ends up being 20% of it, but the whole space has gone 100x, it works for everybody. Well, they don't like it because it reflects on them. So they don't like to be overly involved in the space in that respect. But the reality is it's very easy for them to grasp the concept of new technology. So, as opposed to having to be an investor and talk about, the devaluation of money and fiat money and all of this stuff, which is kind of a complicated narrative for a financial institution to have, ETH is easy. It's like, this is the internet of value. We need to own a stake in it. So that's why, and they're all building applications on ETH, and they're all looking at this, and ETH is more of a gateway drug to the kind of things that they're interested in, which is, smart contracts, and things like NFTs, what that can do for their business. Could you put insurance contracts on NFTs? All of this is intellectually very interesting for the existing financial system and existing investors. This is the fastest adoption of any technology in all recorded human history. So it's growing at 113% a year, which is twice the speed the internet was when it had 150 million users. You extrapolate that out, you get to 1 billion people by 2024. If you look at it in terms of market cap, it's about 2 trillion today, a bit over that. Most other assets are around 200 trillion, so equities, bonds, real estate. So if this is the asset class that we think it is, and it's growing at this rate, then 200 trillion is a reasonable estimate by the end of the decade. So that's an entire asset class market cap going up 100-fold. We've seen that in a stock before. We've seen that in a few things, but never an entire asset class. So it's the biggest opportunity I've ever seen. Now, somebody in Sudan can mint an NFT and earn ETH, right? They couldn't do that in the world before because there was no ability for them to work in international trade without all these restrictions and bank controls and all this other stuff. So it's actually quite a big leveler. And the metaverse is a leveler because education is going to go into the metaverse as well. And that means that you can educate people in different countries who wouldn't get access to those lecturers or those other fellow students who are alongside each other. It's amazing. I think the best way for people who aren't super connected in the space, because there's a bunch of people who know everybody and it's much easier for them,
Of course.
But there's a lot of incubator firms, people like Outlier in the UK, who incubate projects and will help you. So they will tell you whether you've got a good idea or not. They're kind of onboarding 100 firms at a time, and there's several of these. So go to one of the incubator projects, seek their advice, and they will help you through it all. Because there's a lot to learn, and it's really difficult. And if you're not super connected, it feels daunting. But there are people who are there to help you set up.